Okay, so hello and welcome everyone to the course Industrial Robotics and Automation. In today's class, we'll be starting with the practice problems, okay, related to our electro-pneumatic circuit design. So we'll start with these similar problems, okay, that we had done for the pneumatic circuit diagram. Okay, fine. So and then we will be drawing both the circuits together. So for the same type of problem, we'll be drawing our pneumatic circuit on one section, and then we'll be drawing our electro-pneumatic circuit. Okay, so that we can just try to find out the difference between the two. Fine. So those who all have installed your softwares, okay, in your system, you also just open FluidSim, and we will start with this. So the problem number 1, if you see, it says the allocating device supplies aluminum valve blanks to a machining station. By operating a push button, the piston rod of a single acting cylinder is made to advance. After releasing the actuating button, the piston rod returns. Fine. So just start drawing this, okay, in your FluidSim software. Fine. So just let me switch on. What I will do the pneumatic portion. Okay, that means not the pneumatic portion of an electro-pneumatic circuit. I will draw the complete pneumatic circuit. Okay, and then you try to implement using the electro-pneumatic circuit diagram. Fine. So for a pneumatic circuit, you will be requiring this. Okay, and then it says by operating a push button, the piston rod of a single acting cylinder 1A is made to advance, and after releasing the actuating button, the piston rod retracts. Okay, so that means I'll be requiring a single acting cylinder here, and my 3/2 way push button valve. Okay, if I am going for a direct control of a single acting cylinder in the pneumatic circuit diagram, right? So if I play this, if I just push it on, the cylinder extends. If I push it off, okay, or if I just release the push button valve, okay, the cylinder retracts. Now what you have to do is you have to make this similar thing for an electro-pneumatic circuit. Okay, so for that, what do we require? Okay, so we'll be requiring one compressed air source, and we'll be requiring a single acting cylinder. Right? What do we require in between if we are making a electro-pneumatic circuit and we are making a pneumatic portion of the electro-pneumatic circuit? Solenoid valve.
Solenoid valve.
Yeah. So it will be required a solenoid valve. And what should be the type of that solenoid valve? It should be how many ports, how many positions? It should be
3/2, sir.
Yeah, good. It should be a 3/2 way solenoid valve. Okay, so fine. If I take this, it is a solenoid valve. Actually, see these symbols. If you see here, okay, in this symbol you have all three. You have a solenoid symbol, you have a pneumatic actuated symbol, as well as you have your push button. Okay, so what I'm doing, I'm just double clicking that, and I'm removing the pilot source, and I'm removing the manual actuated button. Okay, so this is the actual symbol of a solenoid operated 3/2 valve. Fine. So what I will do, I will be just making a connection here. And what should be the name given to this solenoid? According to the naming nomenclature that I told you.
1/1.
Yeah, good. It will be 1/1. Fine. Okay. And then to draw the electrical circuit diagram, I'll be taking a push button. Okay. And then I will be using a where is my power supply here? So I'll just be making a 24 volt and a 0 volt connection. Fine. And I will also be requiring a solenoid valve. Okay. Right, and I will be just naming this as fine. So now if I press this push button, my cylinder extends, and the moment I leave it, it retracts back. Similarly, in case of a only pneumatic circuit, okay, you will be pressing this and it returns back. Okay, so what is the difference? Here you are using directly a 3x2 push button valve. Okay, so that means your actuating mechanism. Okay, this is your instead of this entire actuating mechanism, the push button valve actually gets replaced by a push button switch here. Okay, in an electro-pneumatic circuit, and your pilot operated valve, okay, or your mechanically operated valve in your pneumatic system will actually be get uh, replaced by a solenoid actuated valve here. Okay, 3x2. Otherwise, if you see the basic construction of the valve, it is still 3x2 here also, it is 3x2 in this part also. Okay, here you have manual actuation, here you have your solenoid control. Okay, that means you actually require an electrical signal here. Now what should be the condition, or what should be the control of this electrical signal? That we implement it in a electrical circuit diagram here. Okay, so where you have your push button, so when you are pressing this push button, you are actually energizing this 1y1 solenoid, and from this 1y1 you are actually engaging the left envelope of this solenoid valve, and hence your cylinder is extending. Okay, now what is this? Is this a direct control or an indirect control? In both the cases.
Direct.
Yeah, both. So in a pneumatic system also, as well as in an electro-pneumatic system. Okay, in both the cases, this is a direct control. Okay, now just try to make indirect control of both, of this system also and this system also. What would be the difference here? What would come here in the pneumatic portion if I try to add?
Pilot operated 5x2
Yeah,
DC.
5x2, 3x2 DCB.
5 sorry, 3x2.
Yeah, so here you will have a pneumatic or a pilot operated 3x2 DCB here in between. Fine. Right, so that when I actuate this push button, this actually gives a pilot signal to actuate another DCV here, and that DCV, okay, leads to the extension of the cylinder. Fine. Technically speaking, if you go for a indirect control, what you have actually two different type of compressed air sources. Why? I told you maybe this cylinder is very large, which requires a more heavier force to shift the valve. Okay, so we use a different pressure system here just for this actuation. Okay, for the actuation of this spool, and the exact load, okay, that is to be carried by this cylinder. For that, the pressure requirement and all your calculations, you may require larger cylinders, and to control that we may require a larger capacity or compressors, and those will be held here, okay, with the different compressed source here. Fine. So this is actually your indirect actuation of this. Similarly, okay, you have indirect control of your electro-pneumatic system. Okay, so in the electro-pneumatic system, this is of course the electro-pneumatic portion. Okay, in this, will there be any change in the pneumatic portion of the circuit if I want to incorporate indirect control here?
No, sir.
Good. Why? Because the indirect control, where you do, we do it using a relay. And where are you going to put the relay? In the electrical portion of the circuit, right? So that means this portion is going to remain the same. Okay, and instead of actuating this valve solenoid one by one directly, what we are doing, we are actually taking a relay. Fine, this relay I will name it as K1. Fine, and then I will be using a normally open contact of this relay K1 to energize my 1y1 valve. So what I do, I just take a make switch here, okay, and name it K1. Fine, so this becomes my fine. So again, if you just come draw your analogy of this electrical circuit, okay, to that of sorry, electro-pneumatic circuit to that of the pneumatic circuit. Why are we using our indirect control here? In that my main component, okay, that means that is this cylinder and all those actuation, they were working at a different pressure system here, okay, whereas my actuation was working at a different pressure system here, okay. Similarly, in case of an electro-pneumatic circuit, this portion that was actually taking the heavy load, all this thing will remain the same here. However, your actuation, your relay actuation, this entire current part 2, okay, that will work at a different voltage system. For example, say this entire circuit works on a 24 volt system. However, your this electrical actuating of your 1y1 valve, that will work with a different current system. Why? If you see a relay, what is a relay? A relay is an electromagnet, okay, where you have your armature currents, okay. So these armature currents are generally low and they actually work with low voltage, so even it may trigger using a 24 volt system or whatever it is, but all the contacts of this relay, okay, that may work in an altogether different voltage or a current system. For example, that may function with a 220 volt, okay, or your any other 440 volt or whatever it is, that system, okay. That means your this switch, when you press this push button, it actually triggers the relay and that works on a 24 volt system. However, your actuation of this valve solenoid, which again may be very very large to actuate this spool, they will be requiring a larger force or a larger current, okay, and hence you can give different amount of currents. Or in this case, it's a valve solenoid. Say with this K1 I have to actually run a motor, and that motor is a just like a normal electric motor here running on a 220 volt system, okay. So how are you going to implement that? Because your other circuit, okay, they all are working in a 24 volt system. That means you can actually use a relay, okay, fine, you will be energizing that relay with this 24 volt system, whereas your contacts, you normally open and you normally close contact of that relay, okay, they may work in an altogether different electrical circuits, okay, ranging with for different voltage and different current ampere ratings. Fine, so this is your indirect control of your single acting cylinder for the same thing. Fine, now the second and the third problem is the same, okay. So since we will be going into our we'll try to practice more of this electro-pneumatic circuit. Fine, so what I request you all to make a completely reciprocating circuit, okay, which I had also shown you yesterday also. So we'll try to implement a reciprocating circuit with two types of things, okay. Either we'll be using a limit switch once, okay, to detect the end position, and in the second circuit we'll be using some sensors, okay, for example your capacitive or your inductive sensors, and we will see how the circuit diagram will change for my limit switch, that is a roller valve type of limit switches, or how it will change for your, if I'm using a normal electronic sensors like your inductive or your capacitive. Fine. Okay, before that, let us implement one more, since we have this question was related to our direct and indirect control. The second problem which I can remember is actually related to your implementing and OR logic, okay, in case of a pneumatic circuit, and the same we will do it in case of a electro-pneumatic circuit. Fine. So first, let us try to do it for the pneumatic one. Fine, so you have one push button here and you are having your another push button here. Okay, these both, if you are going to use a completely pneumatic circuit, you have to combine it with a shuttle valve here, right, which is further going to actuate your this pilot operated DCB, and then it will release your or extend your cylinder. Fine. In case of a electro-pneumatic circuit, that is in this part, I told you in the pneumatic portion there will be no changes. All your logics and all those things you have to do it with your relays here. Fine. That is in the electrical portion here. So what would be the change here? See what I have done. This is a okay. So this is a OR circuit. Okay. However, even in the OR category, this is a indirect actuation of a single acting cylinder using the OR circuit. So if you see here, fine. If I press this, it is extending, or if I am pressing this one, it is extending, or if I press both, okay, even then my this cylinder extends and it retracts. So this is indirect actuation. Why? This is an OR circuit, plus ultimately I am using another 3/2 pilot operated DCB, so which is further again extending my single acting cylinder 1A here. Okay, fine. Now we will be trying to implement the same logic here, okay, and do it with you with an electro-pneumatic system. So even for the electro-pneumatic system here, the pneumatic portion would remain the same. The electrical portion, what would happen? We are going to use one more push button in parallel. Okay. Fine. Any other changes do we have to make here? Anyone?
No, sir.
No, good. So these are actually things for the superimposed section. So even see, if I am pressing this, my cylinder is extending, even if I am pressing the other push button here. Okay, I am still extending. Okay, now what I want to show you is the difference. Okay, why we prefer electro-pneumatic as compared to your pneumatics and all this. Now say suppose your this entire circuit, okay, was put in a plant in a shop floor operation. Okay, and first it was an operation like, for example, you are doing some task in which you and your colleagues, or suppose anybody can take the control. Okay, so they both are operating. Now suddenly you have certain critical task to be done, and somebody says, okay, until unless both operator, okay, does not confirm, okay, then the cylinder should, that task should not get actuated. Then what would happen? You have to convert this circuit to an AND circuit. And for that, what you have to do? You actually have to go to the entire tubing, okay, and you have to open that and replace this valve here, okay, with that of another valve. That is your dual pressure valve. Fine. That means all your pipings in the shop floor, say these pipings were very long, going to some few meters, okay, then all those things has to be placed, and even your component, if you see, even this component has changed now, okay, and this has changed only for one basic logic that you are implementing. Okay, so you have to change one component. Imagine around 5 to 10 different other procedures, okay, in the completely pneumatic system getting changed. That means all your parts and all your different components, they all have to be replaced with other component to, if a bit of logic is changed. Okay, compare this or draw the analogy of this to that of the electro-pneumatic circuit. Suddenly the same operation, if I want to execute it using an AND logic, then what I have to do? Do I have to make any cost or any changes to this? pneumatic section? No. So all your tubings and all those things, whether it runs for even few hundred of meters, okay, in the shop floor and all those things, they will remain same. What you are going to do is just mere changing of the placement of the switches, okay, because these wirings are very much easy if you just place one. So these are all standard procedures. So what you are going to do, you are just going to remove this, okay, and place it in. Fine. Okay, now if you see this, just by pressing this, it is not executing. Until I do not press this and this, okay, my cylinder does not extend. Fine. Similarly, it will be the case here. If I press this push button, it does not extend. If I press another push button, it does not extend until unless I do not press both together. Only then this extends. So I believe with these type of circuits, what I am drawing hand in hand, both pneumatic as well as in electro-pneumatic, you are now getting more familiarized, okay, with the different types of circuits and where are all the logics that is getting changed, okay, when I am comparing my one circuit to that of the other circuit. Any doubt in this till now? Anybody who has not understood this? Anyone? These symbols, all these are clear. All your different other things, for example, this K1, A1 and A2, okay, and these normally open contacts of the K1. What is the symbol here? Down here in this one? Here, what I'm just highlighting. What is this?
Make or break curves.
For relay K1.
Normally close, normally open.
Yeah. So this is actually your table, okay, relay table for your relay K1, which shows where are the places in which your make switches of the same K1 is used, your current paths, as well as to the left. If I use any break switches, okay, then that will be used here. For example, if you see, just notice here, this right now your 3 is written here, okay. If I just try to replace this switch, okay, with that of a break switch or my normally closed contact here, okay, and if I name that as K1, fine. Now you can see that the entire your 3 current part 3, okay, has been shifted to the left hand side, okay. This shows that for the relay K1, your break switch, okay, or your normally closed switch is actually now placed on the current path number 3, okay, and whenever this will get energized, this will open. If you see, although the circuit will not, what will happen in this case? Initially, your cylinder is, your 1y1 will be energized. Why? Because your K1 was closed, okay, and the moment you press both this push button, then what would happen? What will happen if I press both the push button?
Cylinder retracts.
Retracts. Why? Because my K1 gets energized, and that energized K1, okay, will lead to my this contact, okay, the normally closed contact of K1 to break, okay, and hence it would de-energize my 1y1 and hence my cylinder would retract back. Fine. You see, now this is opened here, okay. That means all your contacts that is normally closed will open if your K1 is energized, and all the normally open contact of your relay K1, they will all close once your K1 gets energized. Fine. Okay, so this was one thing that I wanted to show you, your iron rod circuit. Now we will just try to see how we can actually start with the automatic reciprocating circuit, okay, of say a double acting cylinder. Now we'll do using an electro-pneumatic diagram, okay, circuit diagram. So we'll just delete these portions, fine, and we'll also be, we'll start from fresh, fine. So now what I want to have? I want to have a oscillating movement. Okay, so when I'm pressing a control switch, okay, my cylinder will extend, retract, extend, retract, extend, and this will continue until unless I do not de-energize my control switch. Okay, so what would be my pneumatic circuit diagram here? I will be requiring a compressor, a double acting cylinder. What else? What else?
5/3 valves, solenoid valve.
Will it be 5/3 or 5/2? 5/2 will be sufficient, because do I have to stop the cylinder in between?
5/2, sir.
Yeah, it will be 5/2, because 5/3, the 3 is the position. I require only 2 position. Either your cylinder completely extend or retracts back. Fine. So I will be using a 5/2 solenoid valve again. Fine. So this is a 5/2 solenoid valve, and I will just connect these circuit diagrams here. Fine. Now tell me, what should I name here? Your valve? The left solenoid valve, what should I write here during the labeling of the valve?
1/1.
1/1, good. And the other one, this right one?
1/2.
1/2, fine. Okay. Now see, first we are trying to implement this circuit using our, because see, to detect both the positions we require some type of sensors, either a limit switch or a sensor. Okay. So the difference between a switch and your sensors, okay, you should remember. See, one is the mechanical contact type that you are telling as that limit switch, and your non-contact type of sensors. Okay, all your electronic sensors, for them you are calling that to be as your sensors. Right. So we are going to have one as your 1S1 here. Okay, and another I'm writing 1S2 if it is not visible to you, and that I am using it here. Fine. So I think I need to drag both this a bit downwards. Okay, fine. Now it is more visible. Right. So you have placed those limit switches here. Fine. Anything else to be done in the pneumatic portion? Or my pneumatic portion is complete?
Complete.
Yeah, good. Then, so let us now use indirect control everywhere. Okay. So for an indirect control, now see, you all should now start participating. So I took a detent switch. Fine. So with this detent switch, what will I start? What should I place down here? Tell me. So whenever I am going to press this switch, okay, and my 1/1, okay, that is your this sensor, your limit switch 1S1, okay, both of them are actuated, then this would lead to my relay. Getting actuated. Fine, this relay K1. Okay, and then I'm going to use a make switch of my relay K1, and what I'm going to energize? With K1, what should I energize?
1/1.
Good. You should energize 1/1. Right. And then when my with this, what would happen? My cylinder would extend. The moment my cylinder extends and reaches its other end position, then what would happen? My limit switch 1S2 will get triggered. Okay, and with that 1S2, I have to indirectly actuate my valve 1Y2. Okay, so for indirect actuation, again I'll be requiring a relay. Okay, and I'll also be requiring a this limit switch 1S2. Fine, will trigger my relay K2. Fine, and now complete the circuit. What would be your fourth current path?
relay K2 and 1/2.
Yeah, open contact of relay K2 with 1Y2. Okay, so we'll be requiring an open contact, okay, of our relay K2. Fine, and this we will connect it to our another solenoid valve, and this solenoid valve will be named as 1/2. Fine. Okay, so now let us see. Okay, so right now this is your cylinder. Okay, so the moment I press this uh, this control switch here, okay, then what would happen? This would close, and my 1S1, if you see 1S1, this symbol shows my actuated position. Right now my cylinder is already retracted back. At that time my limit 1S1 switch, okay, limit switch 1S1 is already energized, okay, and hence your current will flow to your relay K1. The make contact of your relay K1, okay, will actually actuate your 1Y1, and from 1Y1 your cylinder will extend. The moment it extends and reaches its extreme end position, 1S2 will get triggered. Okay, this is a limit switch that would energize my relay K2, and hence your make switch of your K2 will energize your solenoid valve 1Y2, and your cylinder would retract. Okay, the moment it will retract back, again the same circuit will get completed. 1S1 will get actuated. Why? Because this is a control switch in which you have your signal here. So this cycle will continue, okay, until you do not stop this switch. Okay, so see. See these movements of 1S1 when it is opening and closing. Similarly, your 1S2. Fine. Anyone having any problem in this? You can locate your open contact of your relay K1 in this current path. In current path number 2, you have your one open contact, and for your relay K2, you have one open contact at current path number 4. If you see, this is a current path number 4, you have one open contact here. Fine. 1Y2, 1Y1 are your solenoid. Okay. Valve. Your K1, K2 are your relays. Okay. 1S1, 1S2 are your limit switches, and of course you can also name this push button as your S1. Fine. Okay, now say I have to continue this, okay, but using I have to do this for only one cycle. What should be my change in this circuit? Say my cylinder should extend, reach the end position, retract back, and that should happen for only one cycle, not continuous. Only one cycle. What will be the change here? Anyone? Come on, it's very, very simple. So this entire cycle should continue for only one cycle, and then retract back, and the circuit should stop.
So we change in double acting to in that return circuit we have to do some modifications. in the pneumatic circuit.
Why? Okay, tell me. In this case, what is triggering the second cycle, second motion? What is triggering? Your limit switch 1S1 is triggering the next cycle. Okay, and why is this 1S1 triggering the next cycle? Why? Because this line is always closed. Okay, so this, instead of a push button, okay, if I just replace, instead of a control switch, if I replace this with a push button, then what will happen?
It will happen only once.
Good. So that is the change you have to make. Na? Why do you have to make some other? So instead of a switch, if I just put a push button here.
So is it possible to do it in the circuit which has already a switch? Not if that option is not available to change it to push button.
If it already has a switch,
It already have a switch and
yeah, then you have to make multiple changes actually, because see, when you have a
Okay.
switch here, and that was what I am telling you right now is a very simple arrangement for just making a switch. Okay, with that you can always use a, suppose, a latching circuit, okay, to unlatch some other part of this, but then that circuit will become very complicated. Fine, you can do this with all the different, but the best possible combination here would be, see, when you can achieve something very in an easy way, why you want to make the circuit more complex? Fine.
So we can put a time delay circuit also at the parallel circuit. No, not.
No, but then that would only delay, na. It will not actually stop the circuit. Eventually, suppose you can delay it for 10 seconds, 20 seconds, 30 seconds. But if at 30 seconds, if you are using a control switch, even after 30 seconds, your second cycle will start.
Okay.
Right?
Okay.
Okay. See, even for a push button, fine. So when you are doing for a push button, na, then you have to actually use this 1S1 valve. Okay, so without 1S1 also you can continue with this for one cycle. For example, if I have only one cycle and I'm using a push button, I do not require 1S1 here. Do I require this limit switch if I have to continue it for only one cycle? If suppose I do not have this one, will my circuit work now?
Yes, sir.
So
Yes. See, so actually 1S1 was required when you have to make it completely reciprocating with the continuous reciprocating circuit. Okay, for one cycle you do not require, because see, for one cycle you only need to press this, it goes to the end, and the other end 1S2 is detected, that actually triggers the motion back. Okay, now again, to trigger the motion for the next cycle, that 1S1 was required, and that you have to use it with that of the switch arrangement here. Okay, so that for a switch, this part of the circuit is always closed. Okay, when the cylinder was extending, your 1S1 was getting deactivated and the circuit was open. The moment cylinder retracted back and again triggered your 1S1, so that circuit was getting closed, and again your K1 was energizing, and then your 1Y1 was getting energizing, and then your cycle was continuing further. Fine. Are you all getting these circuits? Any issue till now? Anyone? Okay, so we have around 4 to 5 minutes. We will just make one more circuit. Okay, so now let us see. I have to do this same with a sensor right now. I do not want to have any contact, physical contact. For example, I do not need a limit switch. I require some proximity sensors. Then what are the changes that is to be done here? Okay, so say now I want to make for only one cycle. So I remove my 1S1. Okay. Now for your electronic sensors, what was your labeling nomenclature? What did we use? We used to represent it with what? Which letter? Anyone? Capital letter B. Okay. So basically we'll be using 1B2 here. Fine. And then yes, your B2. So let us take any of the proximity sensors. Find this. So it has three connections. One to your power source, the other to the ground, and the third. What will be the third? Third will actually actuate my relay here. Fine. K2, and then this K2 will be used again here. Fine. Now see the same circuit will. So see now, initially this, I told you this sensor, your 24 volt and your 0, this will always be connected here. Okay. The moment you sense something, then only you will get output in this line. Okay. Let us do the circuit step by step. So once I press this, okay, now you see your current path here flowing, your K1 getting energized. Okay. Then your this K1 normally open contact gets closed and your 1Y1 gets energized. Fine. Your valve shifts towards the left envelope and it moves forward. Okay. Now see, right now there is no output here. The moment this cylinder is completely extended and you will hear a sound, okay, here, that means it has actually reached its extreme position, then you will see there will be an output in this portion. Okay, wait, what I have done, actually it has reached, but it do not know what is this sensor. I have to name this as 1B2. Yes, so now the same thing, it moves forward. Okay, see the moment this has actually dipped, now you are getting signal in this line. Fine, that energizes my relay K2, and this K2 will actually now switch on my valve 1/2 and your cylinder will now start to detect. See, the moment it has moved away from this sensor, again you do not have anything to detect in the proximity and hence you do not get any signal here in this K2. Fine, and you see the circuit has come back. Fine. So you saw how we tried to do the same thing using a roller valve, okay, your limit switch, and how we did try to do it using your proximity sensors. Okay. Fine. Any issue here? Anyone who did not understand this? Of course, all these elements will actually be placed on the left hand side. Okay, right now I have not followed this convention. I told you, no, all your control elements diagram will be followed towards your left hand side of your circuit diagram. Okay, electrical, and all your main circuit, for example, your 1Y1 and 1Y2 actuation, it will be towards the right hand side corner. Okay, so that I will be dealing it in a more conventional way from the next class, that is tomorrow's onwards. Fine. So I'm stopping here.